I know she will bring to the demands of her new role the steadfast devotion to duty on which I have come to rely so much.
Real-life families and, actually what's going on in the community, and it must be really...
I know she will bring to the demands of her new role the steadfast devotion to duty on which I have come to rely so much. Well, our families and everyone knows what is actually happening within the community, and it must be incredibly challenging. Viewers who expected another quiet day at the palace were stunned when news broke that King Charles had privately knelt before Catherine in an intimate ceremony, a move insiders say left Camilla visibly jealous. For years, many believed Charles and Camilla presented a united front, handling royal duties with grace. But this private gesture suggested a hidden layer of palace dynamics that no one outside the walls had ever seen. So why exactly did Charles take this dramatic step, and could it reshape the delicate balance of relationships within the royal family? Behind the heavy iron gates and shuttered windows, King Charles quietly summoned a small circle of senior aides, loyalists who had once served Queen Elizabeth herself. They were given no explanations, only a command to appear. The hour was late, yet the urgency left no doubt. Rules that had stood for centuries were quietly broken. Doors normally guarded by ceremonial sentries were left ajar just long enough for key figures to slip inside unseen. The king's private chambers, spaces so rare that even courtiers seldom entered, had been prepared in solemn silence. The quiet was so deep that aides later said the only sound they heard was the soft ticking of the king's pocket watch as they waited. There were no schedules, no agendas, only one command: absolute discretion. Then she arrived. Catherine alone. No entourage, no security detail, no trace of the usual royal machinery. She wore muted tones and carried nothing but a sealed envelope believed to hold the late queen's final symbolic gift. Palace staff froze as she walked past, many bowing instinctively, as though sensing history about to unfold. Moments later, Queen Camilla was spotted pacing near the West Wing corridor, her expression marked by fury and unmistakable dread. She had not been invited. She had not been informed. Sources claimed she demanded answers, but the doors remained closed and the hallway silent. Inside, centuries of tradition gave way to something older, deeper, almost sacred. There was no audience, no press, no fanfare, only legacy and blood. The weight of the crown was being passed, not through death or abdication, but by choice. What happened behind those sealed doors would forever reshape the monarchy, revealing the king's truest intentions. While the world focused on scandals and public disputes, a quiet yet powerful shift was unfolding within the palace. Catherine was no longer merely surviving. She was rising strategically and silently, supported by the late queen's most trusted allies. She was being prepared for far more than a ceremonial role. In the chaos following Harry and Meghan's explosive exit, and amid the silence surrounding Andrew's controversies, Catherine became the monarchy's calm center. Not by design, but by necessity. While others struggled for relevance or retreated into disgrace, she maintained composure, grace, and an authority that began quietly eclipsing even Charles himself. Senior aides who once doubted a commoner marrying into royalty began relying on her instincts. Her voice, once ignored in council meetings, started guiding decisions. As Britain searched for stability during one of the most fractured generations of royals, Catherine offered something no one else could: quiet strength. Princess Anne was among the first to recognize Catherine's potential, away from public view, and mentored her in the old traditions: discipline, endurance, and discretion. Her guidance transformed Catherine into a formidable figure. Prince Edward soon followed, walking with her through palace gardens and sharing insights known only to the late queen's inner circle. These were not casual conversations, but moments of transition, lessons passed quietly behind closed doors. Catherine's understanding of constitutional protocol, diplomacy, and ceremonial nuance grew to rival Charles's decades of experience. Gradually, advisors and courtiers shifted their loyalty, not because they were instructed to, but because instinct guided them. Behind the palace's tall iron gates and shuttered windows, another unusual gathering unfolded. King Charles again summoned a carefully selected group of senior aides who had once served Queen Elizabeth. There were no briefings, only a simple command: arrive immediately. The palace remained quiet, yet urgency filled the air. Unprecedented breaks in protocol followed. Doors normally guarded were left open just long enough for chosen individuals to enter unnoticed. The king's private chambers were prepared with a solemn, almost sacred atmosphere. The silence was so complete that aides later recalled hearing only the faint ticking of the king's pocket watch. Then Catherine appeared once more, alone, without guards or ceremony. Dressed in elegant, muted colors, she carried a sealed envelope believed to contain the late queen's final symbolic gift. Staff instinctively bowed as she passed, sensing the weight of history moving through the corridor. Meanwhile, Queen Camilla paced the West Wing in growing frustration, aware something significant was unfolding without her knowledge. Reports suggested she demanded answers, but was met with cold silence. Then the doors closed, and behind them, centuries of rigid tradition gave way, not to chaos, but to something older and deeper. There was no audience, no press, no fanfare, only legacy and blood. A crown was being transferred, not through death or abdication, but by deliberate choice. While the world remained distracted by scandals and public drama, something immense unfolded quietly behind palace walls. Catherine was not simply present. She was ascending, slowly and strategically, with the trust of a late queen's most loyal aides. She was being prepared for more than a ceremonial title. In the aftermath of Harry and Meghan's departure, and amid ongoing controversies, Catherine became the monarchy's steady center. Not by design, but by necessity. While others scrambled for relevance or fell into disgrace, Catherine held the line with poise, patience, and an unspoken authority that began to rival even Charles himself. Senior aides, once skeptical of a commoner marrying into royalty, now found themselves quietly relying on her instincts. Her voice, once overlooked in council meetings, began shaping decisions, agendas, and the very direction of the crown. It was Princess Anne who first recognized Catherine's potential. Away from the public eye, she guided her through the monarchy's old and rigorous traditions, discipline, endurance, and discretion. Prince Edward soon followed, walking the palace gardens with her and sharing insights known only to the Queen's inner circle. These were not casual conversations. They were lessons, torch-passing moments spoken in quiet whispers. Behind closed doors, the training intensified. Catherine's understanding of constitutional rules, diplomatic maneuvering, and ceremonial detail grew until it rivaled even Charles's decades of preparation. Slowly, loyalty shifted, not by decree, but by instinct. Those who had served the crown for decades began recognizing a steady and confident presence, a future queen in spirit ready to guide the monarchy through its most turbulent generation. But how did Catherine begin to overshadow Camilla's relevance? Was it Queen Elizabeth's wish? The answer may lie deeper within palace history. Long before titles were formally spoken, Queen Elizabeth's presence still lingered through the palace halls, a quiet echo no ceremony or speech could replace. Her final handwritten note, reportedly stored in a personal safe, carried a single powerful instruction for those who would follow: trust the one with unshakable grace. Many believed she was referring to Catherine. Observers during the Queen's final months recalled that Elizabeth spoke of Catherine often. As the Commonwealth navigated post-Brexit turbulence and internal disputes, it was Catherine, not Camilla, who was increasingly chosen to represent the crown abroad. Former governors general and visiting diplomats praised her calm composure, natural instinct for unity, and deep respect for centuries-old tradition. Even the Queen's personal clergy admired Catherine's spiritual depth and disciplined devotion. Yet despite her growing influence, she deliberately kept herself apart from court chaos. She refused to be drawn into factional conflicts, protected her children from scrutiny, and maintained an unblemished public image. She avoided headlines, sidestepped controversy, and kept her private alliances with Prince Edward and other senior royals away from the press. This distance was not avoidance, it was strategy. While others sought attention, Catherine prepared quietly and methodically. What no one foresaw, not even seasoned royal strategists, was how this silent preparation would culminate in a single breathtaking moment that would shake the monarchy to its core. That moment arrived when King Charles knelt before her, a gesture that transformed whispers of succession into an undeniable reality. The impact on Camilla was immediate and profound. Decades of carefully built influence appeared to crumble within minutes. The queen consort, long accustomed to scrutiny and controversy, suddenly found herself eclipsed, shaken, and publicly diminished. In the days leading up to the private ceremony, subtle shifts began weakening her authority. Meetings she once led were quietly reassigned. Invitations arrived without her name. Power gradually tightened around Catherine, becoming impossible to ignore within palace walls. Whispered conversations grew into open speculation. Senior protocol officials who had once remained loyal to Camilla increasingly consulted advisors aligned with Catherine. Decisions once limited to ceremonial matters expanded into the core of royal operations, foreign visits, security arrangements, and even briefing documents prepared for King Charles. Camilla's inner circle began shrinking, and tensions reached a breaking point. 72 hours before the late-night ceremony, witnesses reported a heated confrontation between Camilla and King Charles. Voices were raised as she demanded to know why she had been excluded from key strategic discussions. Charles reportedly responded with a chilling warning: some roles were never meant to be permanent. Despite rising panic, Camilla fought back. She contacted senior aides, attempted to halt the preparations, and even summoned the royal security chief in search of answers.
But the rules had changed.
Those who once obeyed her without hesitation now paused. Why did King Charles bow before Catherine? Was he attempting to reshape royal tradition? Long before the world could imagine such a moment, Charles had already made his decision, and Catherine had quietly accepted what Camilla feared most: the invisible crown of true legitimacy. In the early hours of the morning, a palace aide long known for loyalty to Camilla reportedly described what they called a moment of collapse. Camilla was seen near the Queen's gallery, shoulders trembling, tears falling as she whispered repeatedly, "He did it, he really did it." The scene, quietly shared among select media insiders, marked the beginning of a sympathy battle she could not win. Where Camilla once held influence through subtle power, she now seemed to fade into the background of a monarchy moving forward without her. The institution advanced not through confrontation or announcement, but through the cold precision of tradition. Yet the ceremony was not about rivalry. It was about redemption, legacy, and an unavoidable reckoning. It was no coronation and no formal declaration, yet those present claimed its significance felt heavier than either. In a chamber lit only by flickering candlelight, guarded by silence and centuries of lineage, King Charles made a move no monarch had ever dared, a gesture that shattered generations of royal distance. It began in complete stillness. No trumpets, no advisors, only the quiet and overwhelming weight of history.